Welcome to another Coach's Corner. You know we do this every Monday, and you can leave your questions in the comment section down below any one of our videos. Use the hashtag GTN Coach's Corner, and we'll answer your question. We're like your personal coaches. And this time, we have a special guest coach joining us, Matt Trautman from South Africa. He's not just a coach, but he is a coach. He's also a pro athlete, and we're here at Ironman World Champs in St. George. Matt's getting ready to race, and he's taken some time out of his preparation to answer your questions. Matt, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. How was the travel over?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
Got through immigration, which is
yeah,
the main concern for a South African.
Yeah, I know, I understand. Yeah, we're glad to see you here. It's really good. After all this waiting and not being able to travel, it's really good to finally be able to have a World Championships. Preparation gone well?
It has, yeah. I mean, I got my visa last year, so that's that was step number one. And, then you got to qualify. But, yeah, I raced Ironman South Africa. It'll be 5 weeks.
But you do also coach? Yeah,
I do coach.
Okay, well, that's why he's here today. He's coaching, and he's your personal coach. We're going to start with a few of your questions, starting with, because you just traveled here, some tips for traveling to the World Champs, to any event as a triathlete. Obviously, ideally, you're going to get there ages before, and you're going to travel business class. But in the real world, that's not always possible. So what are your top tips for traveling, you traveling everywhere, because South Africa is far from pretty much everywhere?
Yeah, it obviously depends how far the race is from where you are, how far the travel is. Ideally, I'd say if it's within 5 hours of home driving distance, then I would drive to the race. I mean, if you can avoid having to pack up the bike and get on a plane and risk getting sick and delays and everything that comes with air travel, then that is ideal. That's the best bet.
Not really possible from South Africa, though, is it?
No, not many places you can go. And then if you're flying, if it's a local race and you're not changing time zones, then I like to arrive, say if it's a Sunday race, I'll probably fly on the Thursday before the race, maybe do a session before the flight, get there, and then just try and get the body moving again in the afternoon.
That's a good one. As soon as you get there, even if you're tired and knackered, get out and get moving.
For sure, yeah, that's important. A trip like this to St. George, I think it was 34 hours of actual air travel and then, the drive and, and whatnot. So I gave myself 10 days. And, a general rule of thumb is that for every hour of time zone change, then give yourself a day for that. But
good rule of thumb.
Yeah, so before I left, I just tried to get adjusted to the time zone a little bit, just by a few hours. Not easy with a young child at home, but so traveling westward, you can just go to bed a little bit later and sort of give yourself closer a few hours at least, and then when I get on the plane, I'll set my watch I set it to the time in St. George.
Immediately.
So that, you're just on that time zone and you eat accordingly and try and sleep accordingly. And it's easy to stay awake on a plane with the movies and whatnot. So
the only thing I'd add to that is stay hydrated. That's something that people don't do very well on planes. It's awkward ringing the bell and asking for more water constantly. But that is what you should do. You should just throw all caution to the wind and drink as much as you can. If you have to annoy the people around you every half an hour to go to the toilet, so be it. At least you'll arrive hydrated, because it can destroy your race, flying and getting dehydrated on a plane.
Absolutely. And it makes you get up and move around a bit as well.
Yeah, exactly. Good reason to drink lots and lots on a plane. Okay, we're going to move on with some of those questions that you guys have sent in, starting with this one from Ian Dupree. He's from South Africa. He says, hashtag GTN Coaches Corner. This is going to be a long one. Oh, it is a long one. First question. I did my first sprint triathlon in South Africa in February this year, and my second in March at the Cape Ultra. You didn't do that one?
Did Cape Ultra?
Oh, he did.
The 70.3 distance.
Oh, right. He did he didn't do the 70.3 distance. He said, I didn't improve on my second race, but the issue I have is going from cycling to running. Within the first 2 kilometers running, my legs start to cramp, no matter how much I try and use cramp blockers and hydrate during or the day before and whilst racing. Is this just a fitness issue, or is it the heat causing me to sweat too much, or is it dehydration? Can you tell me what's going on? Any ideas?
Yeah, I mean, cramps, there's no like concrete.
Exactly. Nobody knows exactly what's causing
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I mean, definitely could be a little bit of an electrolyte issue, but I think the general thinking is it's more just a lack of conditioning. So yeah, I mean, when you first start out in triathlon, it's definitely something the body takes time to get used to. That the bike to run especially.
That is true. We definitely say practice that bike to run.
For
Brick
sure.
sessions.
I mean, brick sessions once a week, twice a week even. Do like one longer one short one where you just use the brick session as a cool down on the run. But yeah, you're just getting your body used to moving from the bike to the run. I mean, just takes time to get used to.
The principle is there is no magic pill you can take, i.e. a cramp blocker that will fix it. You can take salt and you can keep your electrolytes even and balanced. That does definitely help. Electrolytes are important, and bad electrolyte balance can cause cramps, but generally cramps are caused by doing something that your muscles are not used to, too hard, too fast, too soon. So basically condition yourself better. Yeah. He moves on with another question, and this is an interesting one, especially for a pro, although I think I know the answer to this one. Alcohol intake. I see that in some of the races you would indulge in a beer afterwards, or at the triathlons. At the triathlons he has done, people consume afterwards. Do you cut out drinking completely for race prep and then enjoy it afterwards, or do you consume alcohol moderately every now and then whilst leading up to the race?
Yeah, for me personally, I won't drink in the build up to a race.
Yeah, myself too. I never used to drink anything, just didn't see the need.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, besides from the social aspect, which is important, it's still, I mean, if you're trying to live a more balanced lifestyle
but you don't have to get to have a good time.
You don't have to get but no, definitely, like, I mean, yeah, 1 or 2 drinks. But I think I think the problem is if you don't drink and then you do start having a few glasses, you're going to feel it. If you're more used to it, it's like
Tolerance.
Anything against drinking milk. If you're used to drinking a glass of milk a day, your stomach will probably handle it. But so yeah, if you're going to have a glass a night, then your body's probably going to be used to it, and it's not going to make much difference. But if there's no real need to drink, then it's probably better
just to cut it out. The simple principle is alcohol can cause dehydration, especially if you're not used to it. So if you are over-consuming it, not just the wake up in the morning and a couple of hours hangover with a headache, it could be days of dehydration that's going to affect your training. So don't overindulge while you're trying to get fit and while you're doing that hard work leading up to a race. Similarly, immediately after a race, you're already dehydrated. Don't really smash your body, because that's when illness and stuff comes in by drinking too much. But everything in moderation. You can.
Unless you've won the World Champs.
If you won World Champs, absolutely. In fact, even if you got a podium at World Champs, I reckon you're okay to get smashed. You heard it here. Okay, moving on. Peter Woodruff asks, "Hi GTN, thanks for all the great content. I've been training for my first iron distance triathlon since December. It had been going well, but I've caught a cold and not been able to train for 2 weeks. I'm worried that I'm missing too many sessions before my race in 9 weeks. How would you recommend getting back to training once I'm over COVID?" We've actually had this question quite a lot, pretty much since the pandemic. It keeps coming up, and not for nothing, because people are getting sick, not just with COVID. It seems like recently people are getting sick with other things more because of all the isolation, I suppose. Immune systems are not doing so well. As with everything, we always say the same thing. For every 1 day you're out, 2 days to get back to it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, you don't want to mess around with it. But again, everyone's different. Like, some guys do seem to bounce back quicker and fine, no problem. Other guys get long COVID and will take months if you push it too soon. So
exactly, be careful.
Yeah, be careful. But yeah, I mean, if you're lucky, you can get back into it pretty quick.
Unfortunately, there's no rapid, easy solution. You are going to have to take some time to get over. If you're out for 2 weeks, as Peter was, you're probably looking at 4 weeks before you're back to where you were before you got sick. And that's just the reality of it. You can shift your goals for that race. You can also understand that if you've got 9 weeks, 4 weeks to get back to another 5 weeks of solid training before the race, you can still have a brilliant race. Your race is not gone because you had 2 weeks off of illness. I would say, don't try and make up the lost time. Don't try and cram and fit in those sessions you lost or the big sessions you lost. They're gone. Focus on the race. Do everything that you can do without over compensating for that illness, it's gone. It is what it is.
No,
Readjust.
9 weeks is heaps of time. I mean, you can
Exactly.
build a lot of fitness in 9
it's
weeks.
definitely not all gone. Don't stress, Peter. Don't stress. Just get back to it slowly. One more question, and this is from Angela G. She says, Angela G, she says, that's a tongue twister. GTN Coaches Corner, how do you calculate race pace? Is it as fast as you can go, or do you aim to stick in a certain heart rate zone? Thank you for all the videos. Do you just go as hard as you can for an Ironman, Matt?
Definitely, yeah. Go out hard and hold on.
No, you don't do that. No, you very much have to find your zones. It's generally a percentage of what you can hold. So how would you find your zones?
Yeah, I mean, if you're used to training with heart rates or power, then it'll be a percentage of max or a percentage of threshold. And again, it's dependent on your level, how much experience you've got. You can go on perceived exertion as well, of course. And I mean, like for perceived exertion, a good way to think of it is that the start of at least the bike and the run should feel easy and will gradually get harder, and you'll be putting in more effort, but you'll probably be going the same pace.
As you go through the race.
So the end of the bike and the run will feel hard, but you've probably, gone at a more even split, which is what you want to do. You want to definitely, don't go out too hard.
No,
if you can
even split
go
all out, and the pros don't even go all out.
Well, maybe this weekend, but
you can't go all out from the beginning. So essentially, what it is you're going to work out your zones. You're going to work out what your threshold is. Your functional threshold power would be what you can sustain at a maximum effort for 1 hour. Obviously, in an Ironman, you're out there for 4.5 hours on the bike, so you can't do your maximum effort for 1 hour for 4.5 hours, obviously. So you want to hold a percentage of that. For an Ironman, that's probably 80 to 90% of that. The pros would obviously try and get closer to 90 to 95% of that and hold it the whole time.
I've been going too low.
Matt's not pushing on it. That's been the problem.
No, I'd say for the pros, you're probably looking at 80 to 85. I mean, the threshold thing is debatable as well. It's more your threshold over 4 hours is really what you need to know for an Ironman, or 5 hours, or however long it's going to take you. But based on your 1 hour threshold, as a good age grouper, you're probably looking at the 70 to 80% range, I would say.
Basically, how you would work it out to answer Angela's question is you're going to do a test of what you can sustain, and then you're going to hold a percentage of that for the distance of the race. Obviously, the percentage is going to change depending on what your distance of your race is and your conditioning, but that's how you're going to work it out. So some tests, be it heart rate, work out what heart rate you can sustain, and then do a percentage of that. If it's a percentage of your max heart rate, a percentage of your functional threshold power if you've done a FTP test, etc. And then try and hold as close to that as possible throughout your race. Basically, it's zone training, and then, like Matt says, perceived exertion, which is basically how you feel, and deciding that takes a bit more time and it's skill, I suppose, some body knowledge to know what you can sustain and be able to assess how you feel. Obviously, the pros get very good at that. They're very good at adjusting and listening to how their body feels. As Matt says, he can tell you how hard he's working just on perceived exertion. You might find that a little bit more difficult if you just started out that sport. It'll take you a bit of time to work that out, but that is a good way to do it. And you generally ask yourself, can I sustain this for the whole distance or the whole time that I'm planning to be out here? And if the answer is no, slow down.
And what I like about the perceived exertion as well is you can tune into exactly how you're feeling on the day rather than getting obsessed with a number. And I mean, mentally it can get you down if you not hitting the numbers that you think, or you might be hitting it, you might be going too hard for not listening to your body, just trying to get that number. Or
conversely, you might be having a magic day and those numbers are too low for you.
There you go.
You could just be holding yourself back for too long. So listening to your body is always a good way to do it, but if you're not, so you can use other cues like power and heart rate to keep you going. We've got one more question here, and it's an interesting one. Quick question from Jabansky, and it says, what is with the correlation between running and losing toenails? Do you lose your toenails when you run?
I've got a black one at the moment from Ironman
South Africa. I figured you might. I pretty much went through a whole 14-year career with always missing at least 1 or 2 toenails. A lot of the time missing at least half of my toenails.
Yeah.
It's
the nature of the beast, I guess.
It's the nature of the beast. Wet shoes in a triathlon for a marathon. You're tired, so you're smashing the floor a little bit longer. Uphills, downhills. There's pretty much nothing you can do about it. Correct fitting shoes, correct fitting socks so they don't bunch up and don't hold too much water. But other than that, it is just a reality. Yeah. They do grow back.
Cut your toenails before the race.
Yeah, cut your toenails before your race. You don't want them snagging on the front of your shoe. But don't worry, they do grow back. I've retired for a year now. And look, I've got all 10 of my toenails. I'm doing really well.
They're not looking that great, though.
Thanks. Shh, don't look at them. So, I probably run a marathon at some point, lose them all again. But at the moment, they're looking really healthy. We won't ask Matt to take off his shoes and show us. Yeah.
Why put the shoes on?
Well, that's all we have the time for today. Thanks again for joining us, Matt. Really appreciate you taking the time to answer some of our viewers' questions. Remember, if you have your own questions, hashtag GTN Coaches Corner below this video in the comment section or below any of our videos. Use that hashtag and we could be answering your question. Maybe even have another pro answering your question in a future episode of GTN Coaches Corner. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.